guys, so yesterday you learned how to determine the axis of symmetry and the vertex of a parabola, and today what you're going to learn is how to figure out some other points so that you can get the full U shape of your parabola. So let's start with this. Graph each function using a chart, and we're going to tell whether the graph opens up or down, whether the vertex is a maximum or a minimum. We're going to find the axis of symmetry and our vertex, and we're going to use a dashed line to graph the axis of symmetry. It sounds like a lot, but it's really not that much. So what you need to do is remember that your quadratic formula in standard form, your quadratic function in standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is the number in front of the x squared, b is the number in front of the x, and c is the constant. So here, the first thing I want to do is I want to identify my a, my b, and my c. So we have y equals x squared plus 4x plus 2. Well, what's my a value? The number in front of the x squared. There isn't one. Just kidding. Yes, there is. It's that invisible 1. So a is 1. B is 4. And c is 2. Now we need to figure out using these values if my graph is going to open up or down. Well, you learned yesterday that the a value being positive means the graph opens up, and the a value was negative means the graph opens down. So here I have a positive 1. That means my graph is going to open up. It's going to look something like this, with my vertex on the bottom. If my vertex is on the bottom, it means it's a minimum. All right. The next thing it's asking us to do is determine the axis of symmetry. Well, it's a good thing you already know how to do that. X equals the opposite of b over 2a. We're just going to plug in the numbers from my box up here. So the opposite of b, so negative 4 over 2 times 1. So we have negative 4 over 2. Don't forget, you got to multiply first on the bottom there, and negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. So my axis of symmetry is x equals negative 2. And I'm just going to dash this line in. And hopefully your lines are a little straighter than mine. X equals negative 2. Remember, this is the line that I can fold my parabola over, and it's going to be a mirror image of itself. Okay, now where is the axis of symmetry? It's in the middle. So I like to put my axis of symmetry in the middle of the chart that I'm making. Okay, how do I find the vertex? Well, you learned how to do this already. We're just going to plug in the axis of symmetry into our function to get our y value so that we have the whole vertex. Now, when I'm making a table, I like to fill in my function up here, and I put my x values, or just my x, in parentheses here so that I remember what I'm plugging in. So I know that I'm plugging in negative 2 for where all of my x values are. So negative 2 squared plus 4 times negative 2 plus 2 is negative 2. So my vertex is negative 2, negative 2. And I'm plotting that right on my axis of symmetry. Okay, now this is my middle point. This is great, but how do I find the other points? Well, I know that I have points to the left, and I know that I have points to the right. So all I'm going to do is plug in the two x values to the left, so negative 3 and negative 4, and the two x values to the right of my axis of symmetry, negative 1 and 0. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did before, where I plug these values in for x. So I get negative 4 squared plus 4 times negative 4 plus 2 gives me 2. So I have negative 4, 2. I'm going to do the same thing here, where I'm going to plug in my negative 3 to see what my whole point is going to be. So negative 3 squared plus 4 times negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. So I have negative 3, negative 1. That's going to be another point on my parabola. Okay, and now same thing for the negative 1. I'm just going to say negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1 plus 2 is negative 1. So I have the point negative 1 on my parabola. And now I need to plug in 0. And when I do that, I have 0 squared plus 4 times 0 plus 2 is 2, and I have this ordered pair 0, 2. When I plot all of these points, I'm going to make my parabola. So let's start from the top, negative 4, 2. Here we go. Then I have negative 3, negative 1, which is right here. And then I have negative 2, negative 2. I've already plotted my vertex. Then I have negative 1, negative 1. So that's right here. And then I have 0, 2. And this is giving me that U shape, and it's really hard to draw here, but I get this U-shaped parabola. And here it opens up. My vertex is my minimum point, and this is what I'm looking at. I want to point out to you, though, looking in your chart, my vertex is in the middle, right? I have my Y values, and now look here, there is symmetry in your table also. So the numbers on the top are the same as the numbers on the bottom, and that's because of this axis of symmetry. It's the line where it folds over. Notice that here, this distance is 2, and that distance is also 2. Okay, from the center, the line is the same. All right. What I want to do super quick, I just want to go through one more problem, but I'm going to breeze through it. All right, and let's look at this second one right here. The first thing I'm going to do this time is just fill in my function in my table so that I'm ready to go. And now I'm going to decide, okay, what's my A value? Well, it's negative 2, B is 12, C is negative 9. Does my function open up or down? A is negative, so it opens down. So it's going to look something like this, which means my vertex is on the top. So my vertex is a maximum. Let's find our axis of symmetry, which is x equals the opposite of b, so negative 12 over 2 times a, which is negative 2. So I have negative 12 divided by negative 4, so x equals 3. Remember, I put that value in the middle of my table, and I'm just going to put in my dashed line here, x equals 3. I write it right on top, and there's my axis of symmetry. How do I find my vertex? Well, don't forget, I have to plug it into my table. And so when I do that, I'm going to get negative 2 times 3 squared plus 12 times 3 plus 9 is 9. So my vertex is 3, 9. So 3, 9 is up here. There we go, is 3, 9. Okay, now I need my 2 to the left, so 2 and 1, and I need my 2 to the right, so 4 and 5. And when I plug all of those in, what I'm going to get is 1, 1, 2, 7, 4, 7, and 5. When I plug in 5, I get 1. So I have these ordered pairs here. And this, when I plot them, oh, I didn't plot my vertex. So, oh, I did. So 3, 9. So now I have 1, 1. And then I have 7, 2, 7, which is up here, 5, 6, 7. And then I have 4, 7. And then I have 5, 1. So here is my parabola. This time, though, notice I don't have the point on the y-axis. Well, when I plug in 0, I'm going to find my point on the y-axis. And so in this case, it's going to be negative 9 down here. So that means my parabola is going to come all the way down through here. But how do I find the point on the other side? I could figure it out and plug them in. But remember what I said before. This is the same distance. This is the same distance. So I go, this y-intercept is 1, 2, 3 spaces away. So 1, 2, 3 spaces away is its mirror image point, and we can keep extending down. Okay, now you're going to graph some on your own. Have fun, guys.